So we spoke about the fact that according to Rav Dessler, the idea that even when the Torah used a word that describes chataim, that describes sins, it really does not mean exactly what it says. And why? For example, he brought one of the, he's going to bring few of them, but for example, when we spoke about this one, was one of the most famous ones, is that when in the Torah it says that Yan lo emantem bi, that Hashem says to Moshe and Aaron, because you didn't believe in me, and we have 10 interpretations of what exactly was the chet. And it seems to be, it's very simple. It says Yan lo emantem bi, but the Chazal had to try to understand it with 10 different reasons, and the Abarbanel brings all of them and says, none of them is correct, and then I'm going to add my own, okay? So it just shows that Chazal understood that whenever the Torah says something, Yan lo emantem bi chata, it's not exactly what it means, even though we said exactly the opposite. Okay, but that's what we said last week, so we don't need to repeat it again. So he wants to say another example. He wants to bring another example. נראינה דוגמה אחת מפורשת. כתוב במעשה אחן, so it says with the story with Achan. You remember Achan? Achan, it's with Yehoshua. It's here. There's no page, but this one. One over, yeah. The second page in Rav Dessler's article. Fourth line. יש? לכולם? Good. נראינה דוגמה אחת מפורשת. כתוב במעשה אחן. ויאמר השם אל יהושע, חטא ישראל וגם עברו את בריתי, וגם לקחו מן החרם, וגם גנבו, וגם כיחשו, וגם שמו בכליהם. חרם בקרבך ישראל, לא תוכל לקום לפני אויביך, עד אסירכם החרם מקרבכם. You remember, Yeshua basically took an oath that after they conquer Jericho, no one should take anything from the spoil, right? And then there is one guy, his name is Achan, and he took, right? However, when the way the Torah describes it is Chata Israel, which means everyone. And also the description itself is very detailed. Lakhu min hacherem, they took from the spoil, from the cherem, from the thing that was not excommunicated, whatever was, should not touch it. Vegam ganvu, what is ganvu? Stole. Vegam kicheshu, what is kicheshu? Lied. Vegam samu beklehem, and they put it also in their little knapsacks, okay? Cherem bekirbecha Israel, you did something terrible, all Israel. All Israel? It's Achan. So says Rav Dessler, אם לא היינו יודעים איך היה המעשה, if we would not know exactly how this action was, בוודאי היינו חושבים שאם לא כל ישראל, על כל פנים רובם חטאו. He says that what? That if we would not know the story, and I would just give you this sentence, you would tell me what? Everybody sinned, or at least the majority, right? חטא ישראל. Let's say 30%, maybe 20%, but not one person. אבל למעשה איך היה? הכתוב מודיע לנו, שרק אחן עשה עבירה. מכל קהל ישראל, רק איש אחד בלבד לקח מן החרם. איך יתאים זה עם מאמר השם חטא ישראל? If only one person took it, how can you blame the entire Jewish people? אלא ודאי, שצריך לחפש את חטאם בהבחנות הכי דקות בלב לפי מדרגתם. So now he's going to explain to us how come that really all Am Israel had a part in that chet. Now, before we go there, that in my opinion it's worsened the situation, because I will tell you, because Yoshua took a shvuah on behalf of what? Of Kol Am Israel, therefore, chata echad, it's like chatu kulam. But they didn't really do anything, but it's just like the collective blame. According to Rav Dessler, he is going to suggest a different thing. He says, no, באמת, Kol Israel has a part in that sin. How? העניין הוא שעל ידי מעשה אחן נתגלה חיסרון דק מן הדק במדרגת דבקותם של כלל ישראל בהשם יתברך שמו. He says, Achan was a reflection of the weakness that the Jewish people had regarding that spoil. כי ידוע גודל כוח השפעת הציבור על היחיד שבתוכו. והעיד הכתוב שאילו הייתה מעילה בחרם אצלם בריחוק ובביזוי ובתיעוב היותר, אפשרי כראוי להם לפי מדרגתם בדבקות, לא היה אפשר שימצא אפילו אחד שיעז לגנוב. No. It says, if the people were so committed and dedicated to this חרם and to what Yehoshua said, they will create an atmosphere that not even one Jew would think what? To steal and to take it. Now, and that's what the Tanakh says. Chata Israel. Obviously, only Achan took, but all the other people, because of their lack of full conviction and commitment to this cherem, they allowed him to do it. So basically, who is he blaming? Everybody. And that's the explanation of what the Torah states. Now, would you call it a chet for Am Israel? No, you will call it only for Achan. Achan was the one to take it, right? He was the one to violate the Shvuah. Okay, now, what do you think about it? Basically, every murder that we have in society, every theft, every rape, every sin, every transgression, every crime, it's because of what? Everyone here. What do you think? Do you want to take that responsibility? I don't know. I am already have responsibility as a Rav. It says, "V'asimem berasheichem," okay? Barashim shelachem. So that I already have one. Why do I need another one? And also, I'll take you in just a second. With all due respect, even, let's say I understand that societies create some kind of expectations, right? If you live in a society of chesed, you are expected to do chesed. If you live in a society that everyone wears a sheitel, you also what? Wear a sheitel. If everyone wears a baseball hat, you will wear a baseball hat probably because people don't want to be what? Different. But when you look, leave alone religion, when you look at any society, every society has exceptions. This is true. There is a tremendous influence. But it's not going to be everyone. You can grow up being raised by wonderful family and society and a kehillah, and then you can be a thief, you can be a murderer, you can be an adulterer, you can be whatever. So to say that what? That it's because of what we were not really that committed to it? לא יודע. לא יודע. I'm not sure that I accept it. Unless, come on, educate me. נו. זה משהו אחר. כל ישראל ערבים זה לזה means that what? That we have responsibility for each other, which seems to be that if I see you doing something wrong, I need to what? To reprimand you, to rebuke you, to try to help you to לשוב בתשובה. Yes, we have a spiritual connection. Yes, if that Jew murdered, he created a pgam in what we call Klal Yisrael, but it doesn't mean that I am to be blamed. That's what Rav Dessler says that I don't particularly want to accept. I accept arvut, obviously. This is one of the fundamentals of Judaism. But to tell me that I should be also blamed because what he did? Yes. That I accept. A, because I'm not a Kohen, so I don't really care. And B, because the Kohen Gadol represents all of Am Yisrael, and he should be the teacher. So that's what I said. As a rabbi, I understand my responsibility for this community. Okay? So, but this is a leader. According to Rav Dessler, every Joe Schmo, every Reuven and Miriam and Shimon and Dina, because of the parsha, okay? So they are responsible. Or they affected this guy to make it easier for him to do whatever he did. Yes? The what? Yes, to some extent. To some extent. Which means if I didn't set the bar high enough, there is some kind of a blame. Now, do I want to take the blame? Not sure. Because I will tell you, you ask a good question, so I need to address it for a second. Do we have the other side of the coin? You look at me like, if you want to blame me for your problems, can I atone for your problems as well? Should we create a little booth right there? Right? Right? That's the other side of the coin, for sure. If you blame me, I can also be the one to save you, right? We obviously we don't think it's going to work. It's your job. So what does it mean that I'm responsible? So look, all those statements might be that they were influenced by the time and the community and the expectations and whatever it is. Or it was also to put on the shoulders of the leaders, think, it's not only an honor, it's also a responsibility. So I don't know exactly how it works. Meaning, if you made a decision from your own free will not to put on tefillin this morning, how does it have anything to do with me? I didn't tell you. You know that I put tefillin every day. I spoke about tefillin. I talked about it in halacha, in hashkafa, in machshava, in whatever it is. You know what? Yesterday I spoke to you about tefillin, but you decided today not to put them. You know how important is that to me. How is your decision? It's because of what? That I have any part in your decision. So that's what Rav Dessler says. How much of it we can accept or not, it's subjective. Take whatever you want. Yes?
Does that mean there's a problem with free choice in that situation?
That's exactly what I said. Yeah. Which means if it was his free choice not to put on tefillin, despite what I told him. So now what his free choice is going to be tainted because of what I said or not, he has a free choice.
But I think the whole Jewish concept was to create so much social pressure that people would do what they're supposed to do and not do what almost to the extent that you almost made it impossible to prove that anybody did anything wrong. Like if you think of because you have to have two witnesses who had to warn you in advance. So by the time, the whole idea of crime, sin, whatever, was almost in denial. We didn't want it. We wanted to have a society which was so strong that it would happen.
That's for sure, that was the ideal, to create such a society. But we know, for example, that, here you go, okay? Let's take two sins in the Torah. The blasphemer, the guy who cursed God. So now you're going to blame Moshe Rabbeinu for not setting the bar high enough? The מקושש עצים, the מרגלים, קורח, the מתאוננים, קברות התאווה, okay? We have, people make sins.
But Moshe didn't get into OUisrael. Maybe they
Not because of that.
maybe
But at least what the Torah says, it's not because of that. Yes, one more, וזהו, כן.
Do something that you're responsible for, but that if you're seeing someone or you're dealing with someone and they're about to do something, at that point you could bring in OUisrael that you're responsible for caring for them, and you're not a nudai. You're someone who's responsible for them.
So part of arvut is also tochecha before you see someone does something. It's not only after. Yes?
How does the redo of the Kohen on Yom Kippur for OUisrael, how does that?
Part of it is korban tzibur also. The korban was bought by everyone. So there is a part of the entire tzibur. And also, again, the Kohen Gadol is an exception. I can understand an exception, but not that everyone. Okay, I think you got it. I hear what he says. It's interesting, but it's obviously also challenging. Okay, one more, and then I need to check that I'm not blocking anyone, and I'll come back. I really feel bad. I took someone's parking space, and we don't live in Memphis, so we don't have too many parking spaces here.
taken the license plate. Maybe it's someone here who doesn't care.
No, I just took a parking space of someone from that apartment. Yeah. So if they are not at home, I don't think they care. But if they come home and with bags from a grocery store and they want their parking space, the what? That's also true. Who else came here with a car? Okay. Yeah. No. Look, since I came back from Memphis, I was degraded. In Memphis, I had 2 parking spaces next to my office. 2. Here, I always walk. I don't bring the car, but from here I need to drive somewhere. So, okay, בסדר. I think I gave you too much information, you don't need it. הרי לנו דוגמה לתיאור חטא על פי קנה מידת תורה הקדושה. אוקיי, וכן מצינו בחטא העגל. So he brings another example, חטא העגל. What's going on in חטא העגל? שכתוב בו שיחת עמך. Hashem says to Moshe, your people were corrupt, right? למעשה אנו רואים שרק 3,000 איש חטאו בפועל. But only 3,000 people were killed by Moshe Rabbeinu. And basically, so it's only 3,000 from 600,000 men. בערך 2 million people. So, anyone here good in math? 3,000 out of, let's say, 2 millions. So, he says, חצי עשירית שבמחנה. Okay? It's a 0.5%. A tenth of a tenth, which means what? 100th. That's what he wants to claim. בסדר, לא משנה. כמו שיראה בן עזרא, כמו שנאמר, ויפול מן העם כ3,000 איש, ואף על פי כן מצאנו בדברי השם יתברך למשה שנתחייבו כל ישראל כליה חס ושלום. So he blames everyone. אלא שגם כאן היה חטא בדקי דקות. But he wants to claim that also, all the people also had a little bit of a sin with חטא המרגלים. But with חטא המרגלים, I can agree with him. You know why? Unlike Achan, my assumption is he went at night and he took something and he put in his vessel. חטא העגל was not in the middle of the night. חטא העגל was in front of everyone. Therefore, I can assume that I can come with an expectation to the people and tell them what? Why didn't you do something? If you want to really ask a question, it's about Aharon HaKohen. Okay, but leave alone Aharon HaKohen. Okay, we will give him like a family discount. But what we will do is that take a look at the people. All the people see it and they don't say anything. So obviously I can come with what? With the taina. So that's different than Achan. Achan, many of the Jews did not even know that he took it. Here, חטא העגל was pretty public. So, he says, עיין, אבן עזרא רמב"ן, שישראל ביקשו עגל לשם שמיים, פירוש על דרך נחש הנחושת, תתרכז על ידו להתבונן שגם הטבע נסו. וגם הערב רב, 1,000 בלבד, פגמו במחשבתם על דבר עבודה זרה. הרי היינו שדרשו הנהגת הטבע דווקא. אלא
This is Gimel Anafim. Is that the same 3,000?
what?
Gimel Alafim.
3,000. Yeah, 3,000.
That headed down, Gimel Alafim Bilbad. So it implies that the 3,000 were the Arab Ram.
Yeah, that's what he wants to claim. I have no idea where he's taking it from. Okay, no idea. That, you know, the Erev Rav, the people who joined the Jewish people and they really didn't convert, and Moshe was the one to insist to take them. So he wants to claim that there were only these 3,000 people that were killed. Now, the problem with him, you know what, I'm just going to say it. You understand that I have challenges here. We know that when Hashem says to Moshe, Ki shichet amcha, what is the most famous statement in the Talmud regarding it? Amcha, my people and not your people? And then you see Moshe is saying to Hashem, your people. And Hashem says to him, no, your people, your people, your people. Okay, so at the end of the day, Moshe is looking at Amcha, including everyone. And there are no numbers of 3,000, 5,000, 2,000. So how does he know that we are talking about 3,000? And not only that, according to Moshe Rabbeinu, he referred to them as what? As God's people also. So, now, why does he bring that example? In order to show again the what? The guilt by association, and that when the Torah highlights a sin, it's not necessarily with what? The first impression you receive. Meaning, if you don't know anything about the golden calf, and I will tell you, the pasuk only shichet amcha. And the question is, okay, how many people committed the sin of chet ha'egel? 1, 3,000, everyone 80%. What would you say? Everybody, 80%, right? But you're not going to say 1, you're not going to say only 3,000, you will say everyone, because it says shichet amcha. So that's the point of Rav Dester. Okay, before we go to the next one, just give me a second, just give me, okay, I'm just going to see the car. Ask the question. Chanaya pratit. Yes. Right. All right. No, but he says that this is the Erev Rav. The question was, how does he know that the Erev Rav equals 3,000? So his His logic is only the people who were really involved with Chet HaEgel and they really made it as an Avodah Zarah, who are they? Obviously not the good Jews. It's only the Erev Rav. So that's how he made the logic, which I can hear, but there is no proof to it. Okay, no, there is logic. No, it's not an opinion, it's logic. The logic is who from among the Jews, look, that's the way he comes, that's where he comes from. No Jew would really what? Will be an idol worshiper. Who can be their idol worshippers? Only the Erev Rav. The Erev Rav. The Torah says that 3,000 people died. 1 + 1 = 3. Yes? No one? Questions? Okay. I did not see it. Does not mean does not exist. Okay. So, now, ובזה מבואר מאמרם ז"ל על דור המדבר, בכלל, ויהי העם כמתאוננים, what is כמתאוננים, not מתאוננים, אלא like, it means what? מימיהם לא חטאו חטא גמור ולא לקו מכה גמורה. Never in their life they really committed ממש what? A full sin, and they never really got a full punishment. I don't know how you explain חטא המרגלים. But having been in the desert for 40 years was cruise? It was fun trip? Knowing that you're going to die and every year dig for yourself a little grave and then Tisha B'Av you get out, you don't get out, that was not a punishment? Okay. טוב. ומעתה נוכל להתקרב בעזרת השם להבנת מאמריהם ז"ל בשבת. Oh, now we are going to get, until now it was fun, now it's going to be even more. The Gemara in Shabbat in Daf Nun Hey, right here. Okay? כל האומר ראובן חטא אינו אלא טועה. כל האומר בני עלי חטאו אינו אלא טועה. בני שמואל חטאו, דוד חטא, שלמה חטא, אינו אלא טועה. Which means there is a list of almost all the biblical figures that committed some kind of a sin, and the Gemara says to you, if you say that they committed a sin, you are wrong. Okay. So how do you explain that? How do you explain that? Okay, now, before we even go there, you know what? Okay, let's read what he says. I'm not going to put words in him. Perush, so he's giving an interpretation. האומר שחטאו על פי קנה מידה של עצמו, טועה בפשוטם של הכתובים. So basically, Rav Dester says, what does it mean טועה? טועה, not that you are טועה גמור. Obviously, they committed some kind of a sin, but based on what? On their מדרגה, not on yours. So now we will need to explain it, right? Okay. חז"ל הקדושים, אשר דבקו באמיתת התורה יותר מכל בריאה, our sages, our righteous sages that glued themselves to the truth of Torah from more than anyone else, הם היחידים אשר זכו לחדור אל עומק דקדוקה והערכתה של התורה. They were able to penetrate the truth of the actions, the understanding, the deep understanding of every action, ורק הם יכולים לגלות לנו אופני ביטויי החריפים, and only they can interpret for us or explain to us and to expose to us the true expressions that are mentioned in the Torah. ובמאמרים נפלאים אלו מזכים לנו בקצת מהבנתם הבהירה ופותחים לנו פתח להבנת התנ"ך על פי אמיתת פנימיות העניינים. They are opening for us the gate of understanding of the ideas in the Tanakh, including what? The חטאים. So how is he going to explain it? Now take a look. כל האומר ראובן חטא אינו אלא טועה. אלא עלבון אמו טבע ובלבל מצאי מיתתה של בלעם. That's what the Gemara says, which means, now let's start from the narrative itself. What do we know about what's happened with Reuven? What's the pasuk? וישכב ראובן את בלהה, וישמע יעקב. Okay. Until now, every time that it says וישכב A with B, everyone understands that what? We are talking about real physical relationships. Okay. So, the simple understanding of the pasuk itself, let's say I'm not religious, I'm just reading a pasuk. I need to look at that as a problem. Okay? However, the Gemara says, Elbon imo tava, he was basically requesting the insult of his mother, ובלבל מצאי מיתתה של בלעה. What does that mean? He basically set it up in a way that Yaakov will be, I guess, confused, and instead of going to Bilhah, he will go to Leah. Now, what's going on here? So let's talk a little bit about the drama. Obviously, the children understood that Yaakov has favorites, starting with Rachel. And look, you can't blame Yaakov too much. He loved Rachel. He worked for her really at the end 14 years, not 7. He was cheated. He was deceived. He didn't like Leah, not only because she was not as beautiful as Rachel, just I guess he didn't like her so much. And by the way, it's a very, very, very sad commentary when you read the names of the children last week. Ra'a Hashem be'oni. Hashem saw my affliction. Hashem listened to my voice. Levi, maybe my husband will go with me to dinner tonight. Levi. Yehuda, now I'm going to thank God for the children, not for my husband. And then Zvulun, Issachar, okay, yes, Sachar, and there is like this desire that he will look at her. Ki snu'a anochi. This is tough. So the children obviously can see what's going on. So Rachel, and according to our Chazal, Yaakov really preferred to be with Rachel. So that was his tent. And we know it from Lavan, from last week. And then, what do we have? So after Rachel dies, Reuven, who is the firstborn, says, okay, now Yaakov needs to be with my mom. My mom is the lady. The other two are maidservants. And instead, Yaakov goes to whom? To Bilhah, to Rachel's maid. Now, I will say, I didn't see too much discussion about it, but it is a bit strange. Even Yaakov understood that what? That Leah is more important than Bilhah. How do I know that? More children from this parsha, this Shabbat's parsha. Yafeh meod. When he meets Esav, he puts the shfachot and yaldehen rishona, the maidservants and their children, then Leah and her children, and then Yosef and his mom. But first the maidservants. Why would you go with Bilhah? I don't want to say that too much because I didn't see that too many in Mefarshim or Midrashim, but I'm not sure that Yaakov ever forgave Leah for what she did. Leah, not Rachel. The switching with Rachel, I don't think that Yaakov ever forgave Leah for what she did. Now you will say, what do you want from her? She was pushed by her father. Rachel gave her the code. Okay, what do you want? There is no such a thing that you don't have a free choice. There is no free choice. It was her choice to be there. Now, it's harsh. It's very harsh. But at the same time, it's really almost unfathomable to understand how come that after Rachel dies, he does not go with Leah. And also, by the way, after they are buried, Rachel and Leah are buried. Rachel and Leah. Yaakov and Leah are buried together. Rachel buried somewhere else. And Leah produced not only more children, she produced the main tribes. Malchut, Kehuna. I don't understand exactly how it worked between Leah and Yaakov. And I will just say one more thing, is that there's also one pasuk from last week's parsha that every year that I read it, I was like, Ma? When Rachel asked Leah to give her a little bit from the flowers that Reuven brought, what does she say to Rachel? המעט קחתך את אישי ולקחת גם את דודאי בני. Not only that you take my husband, you want to take also this dudaim, this flower. Take your husband? Lady, he was mine. I don't know. I understand that Leah is upset. I understand that Leah is frustrated. I understand that Leah is disappointed. But to say that to Rachel, and then Rachel says, okay, you can hire him for the night. When you read last week's Parsha, I don't know, it was quiet in Shul. I guess everyone was in the story. It's an incredible story with so much and so many things that you just cannot understand. Some people say, if that's how the mothers, talk and the fathers, what do you want from the brothers, Yes.
The way I see it at the end, though, is that not that because Leah was a very tragic figure, but apparently her scar is an olam haba. She got she got all the lunas and all this and all that, and she's buried with Yaakov. So perhaps she didn't get the scar in olam hazeh, but she got it in olam haba.
It's very comforting if you know it's coming. But while you are here, it didn't comfort Leah when she felt. Can you imagine a wife says, "Ki snua anochi"? So yes, some of them said, no, not snua, less favorite than Rachel. You know what? You can say, "Ki lo ahuva anochi." The word snua means snua. Because if you start playing with the words, you understand that every time you can say, it doesn't mean exactly what it says. Okay, let's go back. So, it says, וישכב ראובן את בלעה, not וישכב ראובן, זה לא נכון בדיוק, הפסוק הוא קצת אחרת. We'll bring the big book. Okay. טוב, רגע, זה פה. הנה, וילך ראובן וישכב את בלעה פילגש אביו וישמע ישראל. אוקיי? טוב, עכשיו. So what does Rav Dessler say? So he says, פירוש, בבחינת אשת איש בדין בני נוח הוא בגדר גזילה. We know that Am Yisrael, before he became Am Yisrael, he was under Bnei Noach. The laws of Noach, the Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach. Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach, for them to be with an Eshet Ish, it's not what we will call here ni'uf, but rather it's gzeila. Why it's gzeila? Because you are taking someone else's, I'm sorry for the women in the crowd, property. Okay? You are taking his property. כמו שנדרש בפסוק, ודבק באשתו, ולא באשת חברו. Because they don't really have what we will call an affair. What they have, it says, ודבק באשתו, that's what Hashem says to Noach, ודבק באשתו, that's what Hashem says to, in the creation of Adam and Chava, ודבק באשתו, and Chazal says, ובאשתו, ולא באשת חברו, and not with his friend's wife. But it doesn't come from לא תנאף. Meaning, the connection between them, their marriage creates what? Not kiddushin, like in our religion, but rather what? A commitment. And they become one, but the other guy cannot take this one. Why? Because it's under the category of gzeila. So then he says, והכולה שהקל לעצמו לשנות בענייני אביו, בעניין זה היא כבר כולה בגדר בעלות אביו בזה, ובמדרגת ראובן נחשב כבר לחטא גמור באותו עניין. Which means, Reuven, when he basically confused the beds, so Yaakov will go to Leah instead of to Bilhah, he basically stole from Yaakov. But because it was Reuven, and because according to his Madrega, it was like sleeping with her. So he didn't really sleep with her, he just what? He stole from his father. Okay. I don't think I need to tell you what I think about it, okay? But I also have responsibility to try to understand what the Gemara says. נכון? Meaning, the fact that we don't like one interpretation does not mean that now we understand it. Meaning, let's say I reject him, and I say, you know what? I don't think so. It says, וישכב ראובן, וילך ראובן וישכב את בלהה פילגש אביו. It meant what? ממש slept with her. Okay, אין מקרא יוצא מידי פשוטו, which is not פשוט. That concept is not that פשוט. Okay, but let's leave that. Let's say that I would say that I'm going to the most extreme, and וישכב means וישכב. Okay. First, what are the יפה מאוד. Very good. So the first question is, if I say that he really slept with her, I will need to explain how come that Yaakov did not kick him out from the family for being a stone on the breastplate, being part of Am Yisrael. If he slept with Yaakov's wife, I don't care that she's a maidservant, she's his wife. How come Reuven can be there? Very good. So therefore, I need to what? To decrease, to dilute the sin, right? But let's say, no, I insist that he did. So I have a first problem. B, the second problem is with Chazal. Chazal says that if you say Reuven chata, eino ela to'eh. So you are mistaken. So I am totally mistaken. So according to Rav Dester, he found what? He found a solution. Even according to Rav Dester. So Reuven chata or lo chata? Chata. Just not vayishkav. He stole from his father. And even if we don't say that he stole from his father, with all due respect, he went to his father's bedroom and decided for his father who to be with. Which is what? Between chutzpah, choser kibud horim, and really dealing with things that are none of your business. Still, we can have a question. Why is he still what? In the family. So my point is, whatever we're going to say, we're going to probably deal with somewhat of the same issues, just little diluted. Meaning, if he didn't really sleep with her, he just stole, so no, maybe that's okay. I would like to suggest a different reading. You can, and I'm telling you that right now, you can totally disagree with me, and I'll be fine with it. Believe me. I would like to suggest that when the Talmud says, Kol ha'omer Reuven chata eino ela to'eh, is that if you look at Reuven only through the prism of chet, of this one chet, then you are mistaken. Meaning, he did commit a sin. And that sin might be from the spectrum from only confuse the beds, move the beds, to sleep with her. Okay, all the spectrum. But I'm asking you, don't look at him only through this sin. Look at him also through what? The tshuva that he did. What kind of tshuva? So for example, who is the one who tried to really save Rachel, save Yosef, Rachel's son? Reuven. How do I know? וישמע ראובן, ויצילהו מידם, ויאמר אל יד לא תהיה בו, נשליכהו באחת הבורות, וידנו לא תהיה בו. And why? למען השיבו אל אביו. Reuven, you can look at someone and say, okay, the sin defines you, and that's it. This is the beauty of Yaakov. Yaakov didn't kick him out, because he had this dream, he understood he needs all the 12 of them, he needs to keep all of them, but also he understood that yes, he made a mistake, whatever the mistake was. But I am not going to look at Reuven only through the prism of this chet, which is a tremendous educational lesson for us, and also tremendous admiration to Yaakov. Not only that he does not reject him, he doesn't say a word to Reuven until when? Before he dies. Now, and when you look at something, you see something very interesting. part of what Reuven did, or why he did it, it was litboa elbon imo. He felt that he needs to what? To defend his mother. His mother is insulted. Again, after Rachel, this beauty girl, is gone, now it's my turn. And even that she doesn't get. So Reuven is really upset for her. And I guess Leah, lost any conversations with Yaakov. They don't really have too much of a connection. So Reuven felt as a Bechor, he needs to set things straight. Yaakov perhaps understood it. The problem with Reuven that he was what? Pachas Kamaim. He was impetuous, if I'm not mistaken. That's the word. This is the word. And you can see it many times in Reuven's life. One with this one. Second time is when? יפה מאוד. When Yosef took Shimon, and he comes to Yaakov and says, you know what? If I don't bring him Binyamin back, kill my 2 children. That's my grandchildren. Like, why do you think I will agree to that, right? It's that when you look at that, it's childish. But obviously, Reuven didn't want to kill his children. He just wanted to say what? I'm taking so much responsibility, and I'm so sure about myself that what? That you can, kill my own children. So that's the second time that Reuven was pachaz kamaim al totar. He was impetuous. So when he's impetuous, it also, to some extent, I don't want to say justify, but it's lowering it's enriching our understanding that what he did was not because he was in love with Bila. It's not in order to what? To insult his father. It was because he felt he needs to do something, but he didn't have enough strength and self-discipline to think for a second. And then, not that he was childish. Not being childish. Impetuous does not mean that you are childish. It means that what? That you don't have enough self-restraint. Many adults like that, right? They are not children. And it's not a childish component. It's just sometimes, but by the way, sometimes that's the right midah. Sometimes that's the right thing to do, to be impetuous. Give me an example. Pinchas, very good. Give me another one. Shimshon, קצת פחות. Someone from the Midrash. So that's hard, whatever. Did you hear about Hushim ben Dan? Who is Hushim ben Dan? He's the son of Dan, right? So his name is Hushim. And according to the Midrash, this is fascinating. When they bring Yaakov to be buried, so Esav comes along and says, Ma pitom, he's not going to be buried here, it's mine. So give me the deed. Bring me the deed that Yaakov also needs to be buried here. So they start complaining, they start negotiating. And Hushim was, he was deaf. He didn't hear. So Naphtali went back to Mitzrayim because he was Ayala Shlucha, he was fast, so he started running to Mitzrayim to bring the deed. And Hushim sees his grandfather lying there on the ground. And his uncle, has tinnitus. And he says, what's going on here? My grandfather needs to be buried. I don't know what this uncle says because I can't hear. So he took the sword, chopped off his head, and Yaakov was buried. So sometimes you do need it, but you cannot be a king and being impetuous. You cannot be a leader and be an impetuous person. So therefore, was Shaul impetuous to some extent? Yes. He succumbed more to the pressure. Don't forget, when Shmuel says to him, wait for the 7th day, he waits until the morning. The people are pressuring him, say, 7th day, biktzat hayom kechulo, right? In the morning. And instead of what? Waiting for Shmuel. And also after Amalek, that was part of the issues. There it was not so much impetuous. He didn't know who he was. Because Shmuel says to him, Im katon ata be'einecha, rosh shivtei Israel ata. You can be very humble. And you can think about yourself to be very small, but you are the head of the tribes. You are the king. You need to think like a king, not being corrupt as a king, but be a king, be a leader. They are expecting you to do so. So that was more of Shaul's problem. Part of it was because of his great humility, he was too smartuti to some extent. Okay, so, yes?
A notion that this or that, it makes me wonder, what are the other references in the Torah to the word Vayishkav?
Very physical. Yeah.
So if they're all
Take a story from our.
You know what I'm saying? If they're all very physical, why is it that we accept the idea that this Vayishkav has
That's what Rav Dessler says, exactly. Because you cannot think, you shouldn't, I'm going to be very angry with you, you shouldn't think that even, it shouldn't even cross your mind. What else can I say? That Reuven slept with her. Yafe. So, Rav Dessler says, because he's Madrega, he really just stole, some kind of stealing. But in his Madrega, it's like sleeping with her.
all the other times Vayishkav meant having sexual relations. And he's saying this, on what basis do we accept this, except that this is his
כל האומר ראובן חטא אינו אלא טועה. That's his basis. Now, you can argue with that, obviously. That's what I'm trying to show you. But look, the thing is, don't forget what we spoke about 2 weeks ago. Rav Dessler, this is a time of what? After the Shoah. This is the time that you need to what? To strengthen emunat chachamim. A. B. You need to think about the education of the little children. One of the major mistakes that we do with elementary school kids is that we teach them Bereshit. You know what Chazal says. You teach them Vayikra. Vayikra, it's the most boring thing. No, it's הכי פשוט. טמא, טהור. אסור, מותר. ציבור, יחיד, c'est tout. There is nothing complicated. Think what we do to our children. I don't know what to do, how to change it. But what do we do to our children? You start talking to them about what? There is Adam and Eve, and they were naked. They are 6 years old, right? And then there is a serpent who can talk. And he says to the woman, you know, you can eat from that tree and you will be like God. This is a beautiful story, right? And then we talk about a very functioning family. This brother wanted to kill this brother, and this brother deceived him and took the blessings, pretending to be someone else. And you know who pushed him? His mother. And then we give him 2 puppets, right? Yaakov and Esav, and they are fighting. And this is beautiful. My little child, you are saying such a beautiful Dvar Torah, right? And then we teach them that the stones fought, right? ויקח מאבני המקום, they fought with each other, mamash. This stone against the other rock, and it's rolling stones, right? And they are all trying to what? Two, and Yaakov gathered them together, and then when they read the pasuk, they exactly think that what? That's exactly what happened. Now, I understand. I also have children. And we like stories, and we try to teach them. But sometimes we cause a damage to them while they are young, which is very difficult to what? To undo. Very difficult. To teach midrashim to children, to teach midrashim to adults, it's a problem. Even more so to what? To children. Yes, and we will need to finish with that.
When you were teaching Bereshit, they skipped the part about Yehud and Tamar. They skipped Vayishkav. We skipped that whole lesson.
Right. But even Adam v'Chava or Ishmael and Yitzchak, or Esav and Yaakov, that everyone likes to teach, there are no explanations. So, okay, it's because 1:20 is mincha and we need to clean up. That's what he said at the beginning. Yeah. Now, and he wants to do it in a way that it's substantiated with Ma'amari Chazal. Yeah. Okay. That's it for today, because we have mincha and we need to clear out. So next week, Bezrat Hashem, we'll continue.